Thank you for tuning in and welcome to Night Errant. Today I'm sitting here with Lasfar and celebrating the release of 8th edition. We're gonna jump back in time and look a bit on the olden days. We're gonna indulge ourselves in nostalgia, and we're not gonna keep to a specific topic. We actually wanted to, but
we actually had no idea what that topic would be.
Exactly. Thank you for tuning in and welcome to Night Errant. I'm here with Lasfar, who is one of the oldest people in the world. And the 8th edition 40k has just been released today, and we're all very excited. Yay! Yay! You see? Excited. Anyhow, celebrating the fact that Games Workshop decided to step back, take a breather, and redo the past many years of bad evolution, and giving us basically they gave us the rule set we wanted them to make when they released 3rd edition.
Pretty much, yeah.
So we're traveling back in time and talking a bit about the olden days.
Yeah.
Because Lasfar, he was there, man. He started playing back when they were etching the rules on stone tablets.
Oh yeah, yeah. Those were some thick-ass, heavy-duty rule books back then.
300 pages.
Yes.
Each page at least 100 kilos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still have my backpack from back then.
No, you don't.
No, yes. No, I don't actually.
No. Anyway, chit chat aside. Thank you for watching, by the way, because I know these intros can be kind of long, and we're not usually very prepared. If you haven't watched Night Errant before, the idea is we have drinks. Today we are drinking something as simple as Jameson and Coke.
Cheers.
And yeah, we are going to talk about back before the internet. That is today's subject.
Yeah. Wargaming before the internet.
Exactly. And Lasfar,
yeah,
my man, being the subject, let's start where you began.
Well, did I begin? I began at a gaming convention many years ago as a really not old enough to be at that gaming convention guy, or boy, and some people invited me to play a game of Warhammer. It was amazing. We had like armies of miniatures, and there's like 2 armies. There's the orcs and the Empire, and we had like tons of miniatures. The Empire army actually had dragons. It was like this big. It was humongous, and you could like move it around, except it wasn't really on the table because it was actually like one of 4 or 5 levels above the table. So you just moved the miniature around, but you had to imagine it was up in the air, and it was really awesome. And it had like really simple rules I didn't really understand, but I could yell charge and point at a unit. And so
What edition was this?
that would be, I think, for Warhammer that would be 2nd edition, I think, and 3rd edition came out just afterwards. That's where I started collecting. Okay. The one that came with a hardcover book with the 2-headed goblin on front.
I'm under 50. I don't know.
Anyways, before they invented box sets.
I mean, I started playing in 2nd edition 40k, so that would be around 4th edition fantasy. Yeah. I had never even put a brush to a mini back then.
I remember the 1st edition had like these cardboard cutout miniatures that you could start your army with. That was all of the miniatures were like a sheet of cardboard. You could like take your scissors and cut them out.
I had Blood Bowl like that.
Yeah, Blood Bowl was about the same. That came out originally about the same.
That was
period.
all cardboard miniatures.
Yeah. It was an awesome time for miniature wargaming. It's like, this will get you started, but after 1 or 2 games, you really, really, really want to start buying some miniatures because
that was why you bought the game in the first place, I
Yeah.
think. Okay, so you tried out the game at a gaming convention.
Yeah.
And you lived out in the country.
Yep.
And there was a very select group of nerds who all agreed that Warhammer was the way to go.
no, I lived. Yeah, you could say that. There was for the first 3 or 4 years, it was a very, very select group of local nerds that thought Warhammer was the way to go.
And then you became
that,
3.
That was me.
Oh.
But I was really excited about it, and I really wanted to.
Have somebody to play with.
Yeah, exactly. Probably the loneliest part of the time of my life, really. And then finally, I encountered like-minded individuals.
Role players.
Yeah. And some of them were already playing Warhammer. And actually some of them were older than me. I think they're dead by now, but but some of them were already playing Warhammer. And actually had like
Miniatures?
Yeah, miniatures and like painted miniatures.
Ooh.
Like some of them with more than one color as well. Like, hardcore.
I'm not going to get up and get it, but I have in one of my drawers in there some of your first painted miniatures.
Oh, it's not some of my first painted miniatures, just some of my early painted miniatures.
Right.
Oh, believe I ruined a lot of miniatures before I ruined those.
Right. But that was before Primer was invented, so
Yeah.
kind of
Oh,
excused.
I still remember the first time I encountered Primer in a White Dwarf magazine. Was like
White Dwarf.
Yeah,
Let's
I
talk
guess.
about White Dwarf.
Yeah, they had like great paintings. You should start by painting your miniatures white. And then later on, there came something like special paint for painting them white, and not just.
Well, I
white
remember
paint.
that because it used to be paint them white or paint as you have to base them, not prime them. You just have to base them.
You take
black
your brush
or,
and you take your skull white paint, and then you paint them white before you paint them,
Mhm.
because that makes sense somehow.
It does. You would do the same to a canvas. So
Yeah, but still.
anyhow, White Dwarf.
Yeah.
Let's talk about White Dwarf. So you were in the countryside
Yep.
with a small select group of really, really weird people with no
Yep.
friends.
Yep.
And you were playing this game that basically made you heretic Satanists.
Embraced it a lot.
And then there was a magazine
Yeah.
telling you that other people out there
Yeah,
did that too.
yeah, in England.
Mm.
Bit out of our way.
I mean, compared to today, where I check the Warhammer community site at least twice a day. You had White Dwarf.
Well, I check my White Dwarf magazine at least twice a day. It
Okay.
came out once a month, but I checked it twice a day.
Yeah. You know, what I'm fishing for, I guess, is let's talk the narrative of Warhammer and how it was communicated to the players back then. Because with an edition once every 5th year back then, that was not every year. And
I know they were like, it was like all the time. Whenever you just start learning the rules, it came out with a new edition like 5 years later, and we had no idea how to keep up. It was hell, really.
You still don't really believe in the internet, do you?
It's a fad. It'll pass.
Anyway, back to the point. Back then, having just White Dwarf and then a small
Yeah.
commune of people, and perhaps to get you started, let's put it in perspective. can you compare that to when you log in to a Facebook group today and see young people talking about painting techniques or tactics or something like that?
Well, the main difference is that today, when I log into a page, and they're not really people, are they?
Actually, yes, they are.
No, it's just like little icons on web pages. It's not really people.
That represents technically, worthless as they might be, they are stupid teenagers placed somewhere on the globe.
Yeah, okay. As long as they're not people.
That's a matter of definition. You're very old.
Only if you measure it in years.
No, you're even older if I don't measure it in years.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, if we measure in years, you're only like a few hundred years older than I am.
Yeah, no. Anyways, comparing the two would be, it's just wider now, really, because you just get the same discussions, but with a whole bunch of new people that I don't really know really well. So when they're being assholes, I actually have to be polite.
Well, I remember when I started, about 100 years after you. Back then, when a book came out, it was canon instantly.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, when the new 2nd edition Chaos Codex came out, we just accepted the rules. Today, you would have people whining, debating whether or not that was what was intended, what the writers meant about it, and why it was fair, and would it be fair, and should you interpret the rules this that. You never had that back then, as I recall it.
Well, we did have that. Whenever somebody got a new codex, there would be a whole lot of whining from everybody who played any other army. Because back then, as it's been more or less since then...
I had a really cool gaming group.
Well, the newest codex always won.
That was not my experience. Space Wolf always won. But...
Okay, with a few exceptions. I played mainly Fantasy back then.
Right, yeah.
And Fantasy was the newest army book one. From, well, that'd be 4th edition forward, when they actually got like proper army books for each army. Then it was just newest army book would win. With a few notable exceptions.
Why did you keep playing then?
I did keep playing for quite a while with the fantasy thing.
Because of the cardboard nostalgia? Or?
No, because I actually at some point started getting actual miniatures. First I started getting a few skeleton warriors and decided I want to play an undead army. And then somebody actually helped me understand all the rules, and then in that edition I was like, nah, I'm not going to play an undead army. They suck. And besides, hey, that was 3rd edition. You didn't choose your army from an army book. You chose it based on alignment system.
Yeah, I have that book somewhere. I bought it in Fantastic for like a tenner or something.
Yeah, it paid a bit more for mine.
Yeah, I expect to sell it on eBay. Yeah. It's in mint condition.
Mine's definitely not. But anyways, but then later on, I actually back to White Dwarf.
Yes.
I saw a White Dwarf magazine, which had an article about a Skaven army, and it looked cool. It looked really, 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 really cool.
Did the guy playing them in the battle report win by any chance?
No, he actually lost.
Oh.
To some dwarfs. But being the battle reports as they were
whoever just had a release one.
Yeah, or I don't even know if there was a release at that point or something. I don't even think there was anything like that. It was just, but it did seem like a fixed match, because it was definitely not how anybody with their right mind would play the battle.
I've heard other people say that about the fantasy reports, but I remember reading the 40k reports back from 2nd edition 40k. Back when it was pretty much the same orc army whenever it was orcs and stuff like that. And you had descriptions of all the tactical evaluation and tactical
Yeah.
maps and stuff like that. And that was actually games being played, and
Yeah.
they didn't give a damn about what was released because they
Yeah.
usually didn't use the new units because they had the same army
Yeah.
every time.
With that particular battle report just seemed fixed because there was a lot of. It was just obvious that was tactically stupid. For
But-
both players, but mainly from the Skaven player.
But why did you
But
pick
there
up?
was
Why did you
but
like?
there was
Skaven?
something about the Skaven that appealed to me. There was a whole swarm thing going on. That we suck, but there's a lot of us, and stuff that would have been nice in my early years in school.
You would have liked.
We
to have...
sucked, but there could have been more than me.
So that's where the. Thank you, technician. Now all I need.
Oh yeah, and they were really hairy. I'd really like to get a beard one day. But so that was definitely also the being furry thing, which as soon as I actually got some Skaven miniatures and started painting them, turned out to be a really good thing because fur is really easy to paint.
Oh, now we're talking. So
Of
painting
course, the
back
whole you need at least 30 miniatures for a unit meant it
You-
has to be really quick to paint
And
fur
you-
because there's a whole lot of
and,
it.
and back then, if I say you bought them in blisters with 2 or 3, maybe 4 guys.
Yeah, no, not 4. 3 guys.
Yeah, for the command groups, 3 for the ranking file guys, 4, right?
It might be.
Oh, but
Get
that's
better.
just the goblins.
I think that was just got the
I
goblins.
played goblins.
Yeah, the goblins were cheaper to get. But somehow,
Two clubs and 2 nettles,
Yeah.
1 blister.
but there was I can't remember how many were in a blister. Definitely not enough. And for years and years and years, we actually played with whatever minis we had, and then we just filled out the back ranks with empty bases because we found a place where you could buy the empty bases because we couldn't afford all the minis.
No,
we
and
needed.
back then you couldn't just go online and buy the bases
No,
because
you
there
couldn't.
was no online.
No, I think one of the other guys had a contact somewhere where they made really poor copies of the bases to be, before you could buy bases. Thing, but like bases, just a plastic shape of base that they actually made. I think it was made somewhere local in Denmark. Somebody in their hobby shop or something like that. But we could buy a bunch for hardly any money through this guy.
Somebody was pushing plastic even back then.
Yeah, oh yeah, and pushing it hard, and not just plastic, bootleg plastic.
I mean, I remember that one time when I played some guys where we were like, I think we were 3 guys meeting some guys who had a gaming club and
Yeah.
we were considering joining, and we brought our armies.
Yeah.
And we were carrying. I was playing night goblins, so I had a lot of miniatures.
Yeah. Almost as much as I would have had. playing
Probably
Skaven.
more actually, because I didn't have elites.
No,
Or war machines.
Yeah, but I I really like the horde theme.
Yeah, I had giants and trolls though.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, I didn't have cardboard cutouts or empty bases. So anyway, we're starting to set up our armies.
And you're like 10 years later anyway. But
Oh, just younger.
yeah, I know.
Anyway, I'm starting to set up all my goblins and this Empire players and this High Elf player, and they're putting up the miniatures. And then the other guys, they have like a few minis, but mainly they're just starting to measure out cardboard and cutting for their units. So they can just cross out when somebody died. And we're like,
Oh, that was why didn't we think of that?
and we were like, okay, so you can just field shit you didn't buy and paint?
Yeah.
That's not fair.
Yeah, I still haven't painted my entire Skaven army. Well, I did stop playing it. No reason to continue painting them when you're done. If you stop playing them.
Unpainted minis are not cool, man.
I know. I know. I'm not playing with them, am I?
I don't know what you do in your own time, man.
I keep them like you're supposed to. I do what you're supposed to do with your hobby. You're supposed to spend all your money on it, put it in, wrap them from plastic blisters, put them in different kind of box, and store it. And then someday when you get around to it and you have nothing else that needs painting, which might happen one day.
Then you buy plastic versions of the same units.
Yeah, that look better and don't fall down all the time. And
so if anybody is looking for old school metal skaven, hit up Lasfar.
I got a bunch of them. Few of them painted.
I can fix that before we ship them, though.
What, you can strip the paint? Yeah. Some of them I'm actually still fairly proud of the painting.
I can strip the paint.
My original Bone Ripper, the first edition Bone Ripper.
Before he had bionics.
Way before he had bionics.
As I mentioned in the previous episode,
yeah,
I'm
like
a huge fan.
Glove on one hand, with the spike on.
Oh, I had that. Wasn't that a Bloodborne mini?
No, that was not that. Well, there's a Bloodborne mini that also has that, but he has 3 arms. The Bloodborne mini only had 2.
I had the Bloodborne mini because I converted that to an orc. It was so old that it fit the size perfectly for an orc now.
And the original Gracia Thankful had him as well. He was amazing, the best special character in all of Warhammer ever.
I thought that was Lost Scroll.
No, Lost Scroll.
That was what you said last time you talked about.
No, Lost Scroll was cool, and he had some really, really cool magic items, but Gracia Thankful had 4 empty slots for magic items that you could pick yourself.
This is by far the weirdest episode ever. We haven't...
And picking the magic items was the best part of making a Warhammer Fantasy army. Because
I really just want him to talk about painting, you know?
Oh, yeah, painting. Yeah, I did some of that at some point. Yeah.
You taught me a few things.
Yeah, I taught you
before.
All there was to know about painting.
Before we turned on the camera, you were bad-mouthing me about calling Robin the guy who taught me
everything about painting because he didn't. I taught you the proper way of painting.
If you're just tuning in now, thank you. I might have cut out about half an hour before this point, but now we're getting to it. You wouldn't know. Maybe I'll upload 2 videos.
Yeah. I taught you how to do proper painting back then, and how all the proper painting things. You take your miniatures, we're actually advanced to you prime it with primer first, which was state-of-the-art painting technology at this point.
We went to the hobby store and bought primer spray.
Yeah, for cars, and it worked like hell. And then we tried to buy the really expensive stuff from the GW store.
And we primed them in the living room while smoking cigarettes.
Yep.
Probably wouldn't do that today.
No. We would go to the shed.
Yeah. While smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were priming them at the same table we ate at.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Which was my living room table at that time.
It was my bed table.
But my living room table. You just slept behind my couch.
Yeah, by the table.
Yeah.
Anyway, back then, you taught me how to spray prime because I knew about base coating.
Yeah.
Or I used to have. This is like 4 years after I lost my goblin army to devious thievery.
Yeah.
And I had not touched Warhammer Fantasy. And then you were talking about how you wanted to finish up your Skaven army and get playing.
And now
because there was a new edition and it came with Border Prince's patrol rule set. So we could start with a small army and then get all our friends playing and it would be awesome.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is gonna be so cool because I really wanted to play. Yeah. So I went and bought some Bretonians because I loved knights.
Yeah. No, actually, we started. That was we started off with the Mordheim.
No, Mordheim came just after that.
Okay. Anyways,
Because we started with that.
it's ancient history, a mix of dates.
We started with that. And then it turned out that the friends we had who wanted to play either couldn't afford to buy an army, or didn't have the time to build an army, or had 10 thumbs and were unable to build and paint an army.
Yeah.
So basically it ended up being you and I.
Yeah.
And
then we decided Mordheim.
yeah, then
was the
we
way to
decided
go.
Mordheim would probably easier because we would have to make armies for all our friends, and
Yeah.
it was easier to give them warbands.
Yeah. And we had both played Mordheim before that.
Yeah, since release basically, and didn't really care that. Actually, back then they still sold some Mordheim stuff on the official website.
Yeah, they did.
Anyway, and then we turned Mordheim into a business and lived off playing Mordheim for a year and a half or something. You
Something like that.
stretched it to what, 3 years?
Yeah, something like that. Actually, more, I think.
But the last part obviously wasn't so enjoyable.
Those we had that year and a half that was good. Then I stretched a bit more with Mordheim, and then stretched it even further without even touching Mordheim, and just doing RPGs for children.
But how many people do you know who've been able to play a Games Workshop game for a living and not getting paid by Games Workshop?
Yeah, that's true. We worked in a childcare institution, and we played. And we took all the nerdy kids and
All the cool kids.
yeah, I know. That's what I said. Anyways,
We got our own location. We got to finish it like we wanted.
we actually had the kids paint that location.
Yeah, and we
Okay, they started painting. We finished painting.
yeah, but they did a good job starting.
Yeah.
And we had a whole weekend where all the kids started making scenery.
Yeah.
And then we had to call all our friends to actually finish scenery, so we had tables on Monday.
Yeah, but still it was cool, and the kids felt like I built that. Yeah, you built that.
So you taught me about priming. Was that a cut to commercial? Did you cut to commercial?
Depends on. Did you just see a commercial for hair products and beer combined? If not, then it was mine.
Wow, you have a lot of commercial spots.
Yeah.
Damn, this is a weird episode.
Nah,
Before we turned on the camera, we actually had a plan.
we did.
Well, you did.
I'm old.
This is a really weird episode. Well, if you're still watching, we must be doing something right.
Yeah. Anyways, back to the real way of painting, because we only got to the first dry brushing, because then you dry brushed with a lighter color to bring out the real highlights.
And that was new to me back then, actually.
That was really new to you. And then I taught you all my secret techniques of painting. And then it took you about 2 months to be a way better painter than I ever was. And that sucked.
Actually, you're skipping a very important step.
Okay, maybe it was only 1 month.
But not that, because right after I went to the store and bought this.
Oh, yeah, the thing I never used. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh.
Show it to the camera.
Pure heresy in a tin.
That is the exact can I bought to shade all my Bretonian peasants.
Yeah. And camera assistant is now putting it up. Usually we call her Louise, but not today. She's just an assistant.
Anyhow, I actually managed to paint 50 Bretonian peasants.
Yes, the same shade of brown.
And red, and the other one, they looked fine.
Yes, and then you put this shit on and then turn out the same shade of brown.
Anyway, I had my peasants done.
Yeah.
At the same time, you had one half-painted demonette, 2 chaos warriors,
Yep.
and an innate hatred to purple ink.
No. It was a love-hate relationship to the purple ink.
Anyway, you basically gave up and started the dwarf army after that.
Yeah.
Because you didn't want to paint any more Slanesh.
Yeah. And
Imagine
And
that.
somehow I actually managed to find a use for purple ink in a dwarf army.
Yeah, use is a very strong word. Excuse would be better.
That was a lot of purple ink. It's ancient history, and oh shit, I still use purple ink, don't I?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Now you mix it with shit.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm glad I mix my own drinks tonight.
Yeah. Hey, you bought me most of my purple ink anyway.
Half.
Almost.
We bought a can each.
Yes, and then I forgot that I had any, and I sent you out to buy more purple ink.
Oh, that's true, actually.
2 or 3 additional times, because
right,
there's no way in hell I actually have purple ink lying around.
Exactly. I went to buy paint and you were like, I might need some purple ink.
Yeah.
That's true. I remember that now. Oh, anyway, that aside. You told me about painting. Then I dipped all my peasants, but
I did not teach you to dip.
No. I just wanted to get an army done, and then I realized that you started a new army every week.
Yep.
And never painted any mini till it was done.
Because then I changed my mind and wanted to do something else. Yes.
Esbjørn basically just glued skeletal bits to his hands and face.
Yeah, that's true.
And everybody else either just bought or just talked and bought, but never actually opened any of their boxes.
That's true. Although to my defense, I did get a few projects done.
You turned armies into warbands.
Yeah.
You managed to make a dwarf warband from your dwarf army and a possessed warband from your chaos army.
Yeah, and
though your chaos army turned out to be very expensive because you didn't want to use anything from your chaos army to make a chaos army.
I gotta say, that was just when they decided. I just decided to build my chaos army. I bought a bunch of minis, and then they decided to split up the chaos army for fantasy battle into the. Actually, first they split the beastmen off from the rest of the chaos army, which was okay. I didn't plan really on using it. One of few, but okay, I can live without the beastmen. And then they decided to cut up once again to say Chaos Warriors and Demons got separate armies, and I had like this whole plan for a Slaanesh themed thing with my Slaanesh Warriors and my Slaanesh Demons. And the whole way that army was supposed to work was
and
just...
back then, allies were a matter of percentages you could use in your army.
According to the rules, but there was a general consensus in the gaming community, at least here in Denmark, and especially where I played, that allies was just bad form. That was just exploiting a loophole in the rules to cover your bases.
Lasfar, who never finished an army in the circles he played.
Well, I played a bit, and a lot of the other guys actually managed to finish armies. and I'm actually using the pro for some of them armies. Like one of my really good friends, he had like 3 armies that were completely finished, and his brother that had finished his 3 armies had an additional 4 armies finished himself. He was one of those guys who could paint a lot and really fast.
Yeah, that's been your curse always, isn't it? I mean,
I'm a slow painter.
And you paint each guy and gives him a backstory and really think about it.
I give each color a backstory.
And that's actually why I brought this forward, because I thought that would be a conversation piece.
Yeah, it is a conversation piece.
I came back into the hobby after years out and actually managed to build a 2,000-point Bretonian army in 14 days.
Yes. But how much backstory can you put into, and he's all brown?
They are not all brown.
Yes, they are.
As a matter of fact, they look kind of good today.
They're brown. They do look kind of good, but they are kind of brown.
The peasants. They're supposed to be muddy and peasant-y.
Actually, your results from using the whole dip method is not as bad as some of the other people. Remember Michael? Yeah, of course.
If you're watching, sorry, we'd really like you, but
yeah. I remember him dipping his minis, and then he actually ended up tying a string around the base of the mini and like swinging it around just to get as much of the fucking brown stuff off of the mini before it dried too much.
He had a entirely brown dark elf army.
He just had a lot of really
with no details.
So
I remember that.
They were just brown.
Yeah, and
like
then
amazing. It's like, and then your mini looks instantly brown.
but notice I bought light shade. He bought dark shade for his dark elves.
Yeah, which and it was a bit of a misnomer. It shouldn't have been called dark shade. It should have been called brown. Just brown.
Well, what I did was I would dip them and then put them in a box like that one, and then just shake them frantically until your roof seems
my ceiling. Yes, I know. In my living room.
Yeah,
yes,
when your living room started to look weird, the mini was about done, and then I would do it again.
Yeah, I remember that.
And when my back then girlfriend complained that her clothes in the other part of the room were getting stained, I would just put my hand out the window and shake it out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I do remember there was a lot of brown stains in my room.
And on the windows, that shit just doesn't come off.
Oh yeah, that's true. Damn.
But yeah, you taught me to paint those techniques, and then we taught kids to paint without ever telling them about dip.
Yeah.
Because we didn't own the.
That was never, ever mentioned.
No.
We never mentioned the.
But we got our workplace to pay for a complete set of all the Games Workshop paints, and sometimes we managed to open them before they dried out.
Yeah, and a bunch of old Mordheim sets.
Yeah, that's true.
I still have a couple of them.
I have a few minis too. Nothing compared to what I lost by having my stuff at that location,
that's
though.
Another thing. Ooh, that was a lot. But yeah. But I actually still have a completely, I would say unopened, but it actually has been opened just to look inside the box, but untouched box of Sisters of Sigmar.
Untouched Sisters.
Yeah.
I'm saying no.
Yeah. And they will remain untouched until I sell them on eBay, or actually Mordheim has a revival, which would be awesome. I'd love for Mordheim to have a revival with more streamlined and better rules that are actually balanced.
What's the name of that new fantasy skirmish game that is?
Frostgrave?
No, Games Workshop.
Games Workshop. Oh yeah,
they have two.
Yeah, there was Age of Sigmar skirmish.
Yeah,
something also had a subtitle or.
Yeah, and has a really cool setting actually if you look at the lore. And then they have this new competitive. You have 4 or 5 guys skirmish game.
I haven't seen that.
No, it's. I don't think it's not released yet. I think, but it was on the different cons over the past few months, and it seems like a really interesting, very different system. You have skill cards and stuff like that, and it's made to be X-Wing like in its balance, so you can actually have tournaments where it's not about playing that army, but having that tactic.
But
cheating. You read it on the internet.
Yeah.
I'm an internet personality. I'm supposed to read stuff on the internet.
Yeah. And I'm not, so I don't. Send it to me in a White Wolf magazine once a month and I'll read it.
Oh, and speaking about painting, I remember following those guys painting my space orcs, as they were called back then. It was like,
guys.
you have the mini,
Yeah.
you paint it all black.
Yeah.
Then you paint all the skin with this color of green.
Yeah.
Then you paint the pants and the stuff and the gun and stuff like this color of red.
Yeah.
Then the metal parts of the gun and his piercings and his armor this color of metal. And then you add the details, and then there was this perfect heavy metal mini. And they never told us how to add the fucking details.
You forgot the really important part is, first you paint the shoulder pads white, and then you add the black parts, and then just show a picture of these like perfect black squares on the white shoulder pad. And like, yeah, but how do you do that with a brush?
Yeah. So, for those of you who grew up with YouTube, and especially since Warhammer TV came out, feel blessed, because when you see our ugly minis, it's because we didn't have Warhammer TV.
No.
We had the fucking White Dwarf magazine, that's what we had.
Yeah. We should maybe at some point have you make a video where we showcase some of our early work.
Yeah, then I should bring in all the people we know who have early work, and then just make a parade and bad excuses.
Yeah. That would actually be pretty awesome. Like, this mini I was really, really, really proud of when I made, and I'm still not actually as embarrassed as I should be.
I actually lost most of my original minis.
Yeah, that's because you screwed up. Oh, you were a screw up.
I had my goblin army stolen, and I lost the rest back at our workplace.
Yeah, no, you're a screw up. First of all, you worked at our workplace, which is a huge screw up.
I still have my Bretonnian army, but that wouldn't count as a screw up, since they still look better than whatever you had.
Yeah, and of course, that new army book you made your Britannia army out of, is still the newest army book for Britannia.
And it was outdated back then, but I didn't know that when I went to the store now, did I?
Yeah, you had like, what was that, 5th edition or something like that? Maybe 6th.
I had unit rules that were contradicted in the core rules, meaning that some of my units did absolutely nothing.
Yes.
And I had magic items that didn't work because they referred to rules that were no longer in the game.
Well, still remember that zombies could actually make a tabletop game of Warhammer crash to desktop. Zombies versus zombies. Neither unit would be allowed to strike first. And the game couldn't continue until every single unit had fought in close combat.
Yeah, how would you ever solve that?
Yeah. You could definitely not have a rule off or something like that. But
and how about that? In 8th edition, they removed initiative!
Yeah, they did.
I hate that stat. I like that it's gone.
I'm kind of ambivalent.
For the past 10 years, they've been fighting to make it make sense by making it way too powerful, rather than just removing it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The way they handled... I did like that there was a stat called initiative.
You miss intelligence and charisma.
I know, but I really, really miss coolness.
Coolness is...
The coolness stat was awesome.
Yeah, but that's leadership, basically. It's what leadership does now.
Yeah, but it was different back then.
I fail to see what that has to do with initiative being gone.
But initiative, I think, was a kind of an interesting stat. It was just never used system-wise for anything.
Now I want to go get my Warhammer army book where they have intelligence scores and charisma scores.
Yeah.
I mean, why the hell do night goblins need a charisma score?
I don't think they had charisma. They
have charisma score. They totally have charisma scores.
Yeah, like there was one more before leadership. It was intelligence, coolness, and was it charisma? It might have been. They were
totally...
That one was never used for anything, just like any other game system or RPG system. The charisma score is not used for anything unless you play a sorcerer or bard.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you do that, pick a real class.
Yeah, but that's the same. Rather than removing the stat, they make up stupid classes that use that stat. Why?
Yeah.
I mean, just remove the stat. It's stupid. Take it away.
And especially with the charisma stat anywhere, is decide what you mean with charisma.
Exactly.
Is it how well spoken you are? Is it how good you look? It cannot be both.
Or is it just your charisma?
Yeah. But no. Yeah, but how do you explain that? You can't.
How do you explain that to nerds who are socially awkward and wouldn't understand charisma?
Exactly. Who have absolutely none of it.
I remember.
How would you explain charisma to my 13-year-old self?
One of my first Dungeons and Dragons
It's
groups.
like, imagine everything that you are not. That is what the stat covers.
One of my first Dungeons and Dragons groups, it was like a race to whoever could have the highest charisma, and nobody really knew why, but everybody really wanted to be the one with the highest charisma.
Get girls.
You know, not even that. It was just like that stat was just cool, and nobody knew why.
Yeah, it was just. I just remember it being needed if you want to play a paladin.
Yeah.
And then you finally got around to it. You made a paladin. And you played a paladin. And you said, "Why would I ever want to play a paladin? They well, they don't suck, but they make the entire rest of the party suck."
Well, there were no paladins in the original Dungeons and Dragons.
No, that's true.
They came with advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, I know.
This is the longest, stupidest episode ever.
Yes.
And it's not going up tonight because no way I'm sitting and cutting this.
Well, you don't have to cut it. Put it up as it is. One take. We're brilliant. We're full of wisdom. 2 takes. 4 takes. Whatever. Full of wisdom. All of it. Unedited.
What would I call an unedited and stupid episode? I mean, I can upload this.
Yes, you can. No problem. Hashtag unedited full of wisdom. That would actually be a really long title.
Alright.
Random rant. Hashtag random rant.
If you're still watching, I salute you.
And this is my random rant. With Errant painting.
Enjoy your Sunday, take care, and bye-bye.
Shit, it's already Sunday?
Yeah.